Hello! I'm just doing something real quick, but it's okay because no one's watching this anyway. Hell yeah. I don't have any professional recording equipment. I would like to get some, but I fucking hate these backwards camera things. I forgot what I was saying. Oops. Alright, just give me a second, and then I will explain what I'm knitting. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Oh yeah. There we go. Okay. Anyways, yes. So, okay. I lost my train of thought again. I was originally I was making a TikTok, but then I decided this would probably be better as a live stream. So basically, I was going to rant about The Shining, but then it devolved into me talking about Star Kid. And so I'm just kind of doing an amalgamation of that. See, I have ADHD, but I don't take any medication for it because I have an energy drink problem. And so you get this. But, you know. I actually look really good. I love this. Anyways, I really hope you can hear me because, again, I don't have professional recording equipment. So, this is literally just my laptop. So, yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. I will try to show you what I'm knitting, but again, I'm on a laptop. So, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to uni soon. Well, I mean, I hope so. I'm kind of like manifesting it. You know, like I registered for uni, but auditions are in October, so I have to kind of wait until October. But I'll be 18 by then, so that's fun. Also, I've been graduated by then, I'm pretty sure. So, and even if not, I mean, uni is kind of my main priority right now. Anyways, so here's what I'm knitting. It's a cigarette because I found it on Pinterest and I thought, oh, I want to make that, so I did, and that's what I've been doing. And let me just flip my phone up that way. Oh yeah, now let's get to the actual knitting part. So the reason my ranting about The Shining devolved into my ranting about Star Kid is because I was talking about how I would love to see Jeff Blim and or Joey Richter as Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Also, this is going to have spoilers for The Shining and a few Star Kid musicals, so like, go watch The Shining unless you can't watch horror movies or like have had previous issues of domestic abuse. And then go watch some Star Kid plays musicals because they're so good. Oh, that's mean. The specific Star Kid musicals I'll be talking about: the entire Hatchetfield trilogy series. I count Nightmare Time, so you know. And Twisted, which is one of their much older ones, but you know, I still love Twisted. That's my phone number. Sorry, I'm just doing something for my friend right now. So yeah, basically I was talking about how, because in The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, there's a line that Sam Sweetley, who is Jeff Blim, says, that because I hadn't watched The Shining before I watched The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, I had only heard of it. I didn't understand it. I thought it was just, you know, some line. He says, okay, so I'm just gonna give a quick summary of The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. Go watch it right now. If you haven't, it's on YouTube for free. Pro shot quality because they recorded themselves as a pro shot for free on YouTube with actual captioning. There's no reason not to watch it. I'm telling you. Like, why are you even watching my content if you... I'm kidding. Like, anyone's allowed to watch my content unless you're, like, a bigot. But, you know, if you're a Star Kid fan, then you're probably not a bigot. So, you know, point is, spoiler warning, go watch it. And then go watch the reprised version. You should... yeah, just go watch it. It's really good. But if you don't care about that, if you don't care about spoilers, I'm gonna summarize it. So I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to click off this, and go watch the Garden Like Musicals. Again, top quality on YouTube with proper captions for free. Starkid is amazing. And also all their projects are backed by the fans, like on Kickstarter, which is incredible. They actually hold a Kickstarter record, which is really cool. But anyways, yeah, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so basic plot of A Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, which is the first in the Hatchetfield series. Basically, there's this guy named Paul who is just a basic, your basic, generic white guy. And he works at, like, an office, boring office, CCRP. I don't even remember, Coven something something. Doesn't really matter. In this specific musical anyway, but he works boring office job, basic guy. You know. But then this meteor hits. Oh, and it's set on this like fictional island in Lake Michigan, by the way. But like, it's a big enough island to be a whole lost city. So I don't know how big Lake Michigan is, because I know nothing about American geography. So I'm just going to assume it works. But anyways, that's relevant. So then this big ass meteor comes and hits the local theater, and then after that, people start singing and dancing as if we're in a musical. But Paul doesn't get it. And he's very confused, and he goes back to his office, and he's just like, what the hell happened? What the hell just happened? And then his coworker is like, hey, my husband was doing that. And then, okay, well, so basically they find out that it's like the meteor has been sending out infectious spores that are infecting people and making them part of the hive mind that makes them sing and dance, and it's like trying to turn the world into a musical. And so, like, when you get infected, it's like zombie apocalypse, but instead of being like cannibals, you just sing and dance, but also still kill people to make them infected and join the hive mind. And so the point that I'm making here is one of the characters, Charlotte, her husband Sam Sweetly, played by Jeff Blinn, gets infected, and he tries to, like, because they go to this guy, this biology professor's house mansion thing, which is basically like a giant panic room. And he's like a biology professor, so he's like, it's relevant, I guess, and it's like college level too, I guess. He's fucking crazy. We love him. And he like they take Sam and bring him to the panic room. They like tie him to a chair and handcuff him and stuff so that he can't hurt anyone, so that the professor can study him. And so everyone's all off in the drinking room while Charlotte is still in the other room with Sam, who is hand tied to a chair. Then he wakes up and starts like trying to emotionally manipulate Charlotte so that she'll free him so that he can infect her, and I'm guessing everyone else. So the way that they got Sam without getting infected is him and a few, because he's a cop, and him and a few other cops started, like, they found them and they started singing and dancing and stuff and trying to infect everyone else. And then one of the other characters hits Sam on the head with a trash can lid somehow hard enough that his head splits open and his brain falls out. And so that's how they got him without getting infected, because I guess he like went unconscious or died or whatever. And so in the panic room, when Charlotte is like keeping watch over him, he like wakes up and he says, and this is the important part, right? This is the part I'm getting at. He says, Charlotte, baby, I'm hurt real bad. I need a doctor. And also, two unrelated notes. Yes, I know that impression was horrible. Shut the fuck up about it. And I forgot the other one. The way he talks. I love the way he talks. It reminds me of Elvis Presley, even though I don't know anything about Elvis Presley. But I imagine that's how Elvis Presley talked. Whoa, mama, they trapped me in the orb. Whoa, mama, they trapped me in the hive mind. So When I first watched The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, it was long before I was even interested in watching The Shining. Um, and so I just thought that was just kind of a Jeff Blimmy style throwaway line. And then when I watched The Shining, and this is where spoilers for The Shining start to come in, it's really good. You can buy it on $15 for YouTube, buy it for $15 on YouTube, or rent it for $4, at least if you're in Australia. I don't know about other countries because I live in Australia. Um, or, do what you want because a pirate is free. You are a pirate. I don't think Stanley Kubrick would care because he's dead. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if Stephen King is still alive, but he probably doesn't care anyway. Um, so, watch The Shining. It's really good. But I am also going to give you a trigger warning. It kind of has some domestic abuse themes, so if that's something that you can't, like, that makes you uncomfortable, then don't watch it. It's also quite gory. So, but I mean, it's a horror movie. What did you expect? So anyways, yeah, spoilers for The Shining now. Watch out. Ooh, spoilers. So in the scene, so when I first watched The Shining, I was like, well, because this was only like a month ago when I first watched it, maybe two. Because I had been on kind of, and I still am on kind of a horror movie kick, but I'm not really into like nowadays horror movies. I prefer stuff from like my parents' generation, which I mean, my parents are older than most people my age's parents, so like, like I like 70s and 80s and 90s horror movies, like, The Shining, Silence of the Lambs. I really want to watch House of a Thousand Corpses, but I can't fucking find it anywhere. Like, that's really annoying. Oh, and I really want to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I can't find it anywhere. The actual, like, the original version of the remake. Like, I've got, I can find the remake on Netflix, and that's all well and dandy, but I want to watch the actual version because I don't think live streaming existed back then. And so I imagine they changed the plot a lot, and I don't like that. So, anyways, not relevant. Um, so a few months ago, when I first watched The Shining, I was well into the Hatchetfield series because I got into Starkid like quite a few years ago. And so I was well acquainted with The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, and all that stuff because it's one of the ones that I rewatch over and over again because it just never gets boring. I love it, and I'm probably going to do the same with Reprise because, I mean, I don't usually watch things more than once, but with Starkid musicals, I do. Like I can't not watch them over and over and over again, and I'm constantly trying to get my friends to watch them. And for the last few years, I've been telling them, hey, go watch the Hatchetfield series. And they're like, they say they will, but it's been 5 years, at least, and they still haven't. Like, I've told my friend that I'm talking to here, like, probably around 5, 6 years ago, or maybe less, but at least 2 years, allegedly. My memory is really bad, so this could be like a fake memory. But I've been telling her, hey, you should watch The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. And you know what? We may have watched The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, but I'm not sure she's seen Black Friday. And like my current friends, I've been telling them, like, watch the Hatchetfield series. It's like I've been telling my friend here to watch Good Omens so that I can have someone to yap about other than my mom, because when I get into new things, my mom and I have very similar taste. So when I get into new things, she usually gets into them too. It happened with Starkid, and it happened with Good Omens. It's like I got into the guy. I got into Starkid before her, but I was telling her over and over again, I'm like, no, you'll like it. I think you would absolutely love this. It's your style. I know you don't like musicals, but I think you'd like this. I think it's your style. And it took me ages, but I finally convinced her. She fucking loved it. And now she's just as big as Starkid fan as I am, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's great that I can yap to her about Starkid, but and like there's an online community, but she's the only person I know in person who is in the Starkid and all Good Omens, and it's so frustrating. I mean, like, you can only yap to your mother for so long before she gets, tired out. She's had to deal with this for 17 years. So, you know. But anyways, so as I was saying, um, I was watching The Shining, and it got to that line where Jack's in the freezer, fridge, pantry, whatever the shit, and he's just twisted his ankle or whatever after falling down the stairs, and he says something along the lines of, I forgot her name. What was the mom's name? It wasn't Shelley, that was the actor. Fuck. Hang on. Wendy, yes. He says something in a similar tone and everything. He's like, Wendy, baby, I'm hurt real bad. I need a doctor. And again, horrible impression, I know, but like, come on. It's okay. I'm doing a bachelor's of performing arts next year, so I'll probably come back much better, and you know, maybe I'll be lucky enough to join Starkid. And over are damn one Australian, and I'm not transphobic, so you know. Anyways, when I heard that line, and my first thought, I had to pause it, and no one was there, mind you. I was watching it by myself, but I had to pause it and point at the screen and go, "Oh my god," you know. And I also was seeing a huge resemblance of Jeff Blim as Aladdin in Twisted. Spoilers for Twisted now. It's one of their older ones, but again, still has proper captions and is still like a professional recording. It's not like one of those slime tutorials, like, because again, they record it professionally themselves and it's amazing. Although, oh, you know what? Maybe not. Yeah, no, there's a full production of that, because sometimes with their older musicals, it's a bunch of videos like in a playlist. And you know, I usually don't mind. It's always worth it, you know. And Jeff Blim's like in the end, near the end, when Aladdin's losing his fucking shit, you know, that was when I was watching The Shining. I thought, not only does this remind me of that one Sam Sweetly line of guy who didn't like musicals, it's giving Aladdin near the end when he loses his shit. And so it just got me thinking, I not only do I need to see Jeff Blim play Jack Nicholson specifically, but I need to see Jeff Blim be a horror actor in general. Like, technically he is, because technically the Hatchetfield series is horror comedy, which technically still counts as horror, I think. But when I say horror, I mean like full on horror, you know, not horror comedy. Like I love horror comedy, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, and then I realized all the Star Kids would be great horror actors. Like, I could also see Joey Richter playing Jack Nicholson, or like I could see Lauren Lopez maybe as Wendy. I don't know. Like she's or like Kim Whalen. I would love to see like a production of The Shining where everything's the same except all the actors are Star Kids. You know, I want to like, I might like do like casting Star Kids as The Shining characters on my TikTok, because like my problem is, I mean, I don't know. I feel like both Joey Richter and Jeff Blim could play Jack Nicholson really well, but I feel like Jeff Blim would really be able to like capture the like subtlety, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. There's just something about him. Like, no, I just realized something. Jack Nicholson's the actor. Jack Torrance is the character. It doesn't help that they both have the same first name. Jack Nicholson's the actor. When I say Jack Nicholson, I mean Jack Torrance. My apologies. But yeah. And then it got me thinking, I want to see just a whole ass horror movie, like a horror movie made by Starkid. Like, and I know they've obviously done plenty of horror musicals, but they're all horror comedies. And again, that's fine. That's great. They do great. Like, that's kind of a niche, I guess. But like, and then it got me thinking, they should just make a movie. Like, obviously, they do great at making musicals. Again, it's their niche. But I don't know what I wouldn't give to see some sort of live, like, not live, obviously all the productions are live. Like a film or TV series adaptation of one of their things, like probably something from a Hatchetfield series, because I mean, some of her other things, like Spies Are Forever, I feel like you could make a movie out of. In fact, yeah, I would love to see a movie about Spies Are Forever. Um, but like we're mostly talking the Hatchetfield series here. Um, but it's like like it's kind of interesting because of the whole like timeline thing with the Hatchetfield series. You couldn't really make a TV series out of it unless you made a specific new plot that had like a chronology kind of thing to make a TV series out of. Although, like, so some movies would probably be your better bet here, you know? And then maybe you could do like a movie series and be like Final Destination, how it's the same premise, but it's all different settings and different characters and things. So sorry, I've got my sister's kids are here, and they're kids, so they're loud. But like I would love. I think if I had to pick, I don't really know though because it'd be kind of hard because with the guy who didn't like musicals, you can't really have it without it being a musical, and I feel like it just. I mean, it could maybe work as a movie musical, but not in the general sense of movie musicals. I don't know how to explain it. I think it would be because there's this, and it's been kind of a concept for a while, like a theory or an idea or whatever, that within like the universe timeline of the guy who didn't like musicals, it's kind of a general rule that only the infected can hear the music. And there's been this person on TikTok who's been making like edits of songs from the guy who didn't like musicals, but from the perspective of the not infected, and so you don't hear the music. And it's so eerie. And it's like literally you don't need to think about the implications because you're experiencing the implications. Because if you watch the actual musical itself, it's a musical, so obviously you hear the music, but it's not like that for the non-infected characters. Which now that I think of it, if the audience is a character, the watchers, because that's kind of a thing, does that mean they're infected? Anyways, irrelevant, really. That part, anyway, but also not really. So, but like, if I were to make a film adaptation of the guy who didn't like musicals, it would be probably like 21 days or whatever it was, 21 days later, or I don't remember. Like any other zombie apocalypse movie, except it's not a zombie apocalypse because they're not really zombies. They're hive minds, people, things. I don't know. Um, and it would be from Paul's perspective, given that he's the main character, and so you wouldn't be able to hear the music. Instead, you'd see him just like walking through the ruined streets of Hatchetfield, and this lady comes up to him and starts singing, but you can't hear the music. So it's like it would be so fucking scary, right? Because that's the implications. That's like the whole point. And so I feel like if done correctly, would make a great movie. And like I've seen people talk about like, okay, now give us a production with no music. And like I'm sure it'll be a bit complicated for the actors to do because I get having to sing with no music is really awkward. So but also like they're that good and professional. I feel like they could do it anyway. And yeah, now with Black Friday, I don't think it would work very well, only because the concept itself is not unique to Stalkin. I mean, with like Eldritch God part, yes, very unique. They did that, but the concept of Black Friday as a horror trope isn't like there's plenty of movies out there about Black Friday, and it just turns really gory and violent. That's not unique. But obviously, the concept of it being because of an eldritch deity in a space between all dimensions, that's unique. That's really cool. So I feel like there just wouldn't be much point in making it into a movie film adaptation because I worry that it would just get lost in the sea of Black Friday themed horror movies unless they put more of an emphasis on it being because of an eldritch deity, then maybe it could work. But as it is, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, for like I haven't watched any other Black Friday horror movies because it's not really my kind of thing. I only really was into Black Friday because of the Lords in Black aspect of it. Like obviously the whole thing was great, and that's another thing. I want to see more of Wilbur Cross because Black Friday is less comedic than the guy who didn't like musicals, and that's awesome. Like that one's much more horror than comedy, and off the top of my head, like maybe other than like the awkwardness with Tom at the beginning and like Tim and like Tom and Becky getting freaky in the cinema. Other than that, I can't really think of many comedic parts of it. It's mostly just tragedy and violence. And so, I think for that it would make a great movie. I think the only issue is the fact that Black Friday as a horror trope has already been done. And so if they put maybe more of an emphasis on the Eldritch deity and mind control part of it, then it could work. They just have to put more things in to make it unique because and I'm sure they'd be great at that because Starkid's great at being unique. That's why they're Starkid. You know. Now Nerdy Prudes Must Die, that would make an incredible movie. And it's kind of interesting. I thought about it recently. Where am I up to? Um 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 if it weren't for the line in the opening song, and Stephanie's thing with her phone, I would have probably assumed that Nerdy Prudes Must Die was set in the 80s because it uses a lot of kind of 80s tropes or tropes that started around that general time in cinema. When I say 80s, I don't specifically mean 1980 to 1989, but when I say 80s, I kind of mean just old movies, like Heathers or Heathers is kind of all I can really think of. But that basic, well, maybe Mean Girls, I guess, but I know Mean Girls wasn't 80s. I think Mean Girls was like 2010, but you get that point, like, and one thing I would love to see, like, Nerdy Prudes Must Die set in the 80s, but at the same time, I don't think much would change other than, like, Stephanie's phone thing. I honestly can't think of anything else that would change, really. Um, which is cool as hell, and, they probably did that on purpose because, like I said, they take a lot of classic movie tropes, the nerd with the suspenders and the bow tie, and and I guess Richie being into anime, but I think manga was still a thing back in the 80s. So who knows? But and then you've got the jock bully with the varsity jacket. I think that was one of the main reasons I thought 80s because like, do people actually wear school jackets? And the answer is yes. Most of my classmates do, and I'm in fucking Australia. Here we are, yay. But also then it got me thinking, holy shit, Heathers, but set in Hatchetfield. I'm sorry, but do we not think that that is so incredibly genius? And I don't know, like, I don't know if I was the one to come up with it originally, but I never saw anyone else talk about it, so I kind of assumed I was. Um, because it's like, that has a lot of potential. Because, I mean, we know a bit about Hatchetfieldian society. Like when in Black Friday, when Linda's in the line, she goes, "See, Becky Barnes, this is Hatchetfield," as in no one gives a shit. Or this is Hatchetfield. People go missing every day, which great potential for JD. Like he could absolutely use that line when trying to convince Veronica to murder someone. He's like, "This is Hatchetfield. People go missing every day," Like, and I mean, the whole Barry the Bully thing, it could work. It could work so well. In fact, like across like that kind of crossover, you could still have Max Jagerman, like maybe him, Kurt, and Ram as a trio, or like, and then you've still got the Heathers, so it'd be like, I just feel like it would work so well. Maybe you don't need all the same characters, but just the concept works really well. And I'm mostly talking about like the paranormal aspects of Hatchetfield here, like the Lords in Black, like the Heathers. I can absolutely see it. I can see the Lords in Black controlling the Heathers. I mean, for one, you've got the whole color coding. You know, Heatherduke green, Wigog Giraffe, Heather McNamara yellow, Tanoi Caraxes. I know there's no red one, but like you could make her pink or purple or blue. I mean, Veronica's blue, but you know, whatever. That is relevant. And you know, like it could be like a thing about like because that thing is kind of desire, right? So you know, like you can absolutely see like one of the Heathers or Heather Chandler, I guess, or any of the Heathers, but probably Heather Chandler being manipulated by a Lord in Black because like her thing is ultimate power and greed, so she could be like controlled by Wagog Giraffe or Nibble and Ephraim, you know, like in The Honey Queen, how Linda becomes Nibble and Ephraim's like thing because of her like desire for power and popularity and all that. So, you know, I feel like given that if Heather Chandler was gonna be a victim of any of the Lords in Black, I feel like it would be Nibble and Ephraim because of the same principles of the Honey Festival episode. You know, or we go Giraffe because his thing is also kind of greed, I guess, but his is more like consumerism and like material greed. So probably Nibble and Ephraim, but you know, it's still something interesting to think about. And then like JD as well, you know, like some sort of dark influence. And I mean, like obviously, you know, standalone, you know, everything that as his character, he's got enough of a backstory to explain why he is the way he is. But adding the Lord in Black on top of that, I feel like just adds another layer of depth. Depth, you know, like you could make it like, you know, his backstory and his childhood and his experiences at school are like a potential for becoming what he did, and then a Lord in Black just comes along and taps into that potential and makes him does it, you know? Like, hey, you've got all this stuff, why not kill people? You know, and then like gives him ideas about being alone with Veronica and making society see society for what it really is. Society. I need to redo my hair. My hair used to be a lot brighter. I want to change it. And also, like, yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say there. I am just about to be finished with another row on this blanket, which I am almost done with, and I'm very excited, but also kind of anxious for finishing this blanket because, well, then I won't have any new projects to do until I get more yarn. Because I do have a project to do after this, but I'm not entirely sure if I should mention because it's not really the kind of thing you can talk about on YouTube. And so I'm just not going to. Simple as that. And also I'm getting kind of sleepy. It's like 7:30, and my fatigue has been extraordinarily bad this week. We're looking at renting a wheelchair because we're going to a disability expo in Sydney on Saturday, and it's been very hard for me to walk this week because of my fatigue. So, you know, that's fun. But yeah, so I think I've just ran out of things to yap about. Um, but yeah, so that's basically it. Um, I would love to see a remake of The Shining with Star Kids. I think Jeff Blim and or Joey Richter would make an amazing Jack Torrance, not Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's the actor. Um, I could absolutely see Lauren Lopez or Kim Whalen. Although, you know what? Now that I think of it, I feel like The Shining doesn't have enough characters. And also, like, who would play Danny? Because, like, the youngest Star Kid we ever had was, like, 13. Kendall something. I'm afraid I forgot her last name. And, you know, Danny is, like, 5 or 8 or whatever, how old. And, you know, like, so, you know, I think that's a thing. But, you know, other than that, I feel like it could be very interesting. I don't know who would play Halloran. Can't really think about that, or like the caretaker. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to put more thought into it. Um, I talked about how we would go making film adaptations of stocked musicals. Um, but it briefly touched on the concept of Heather's musical, not necessarily the musical. I tend to add the musical because it was what I saw first. Heather's in Hatchetfield. Is it raining? Probably not. And I cannot currently think of anything else to yap about. So I am going to end it here because I'm very tired. And yeah, I will maybe look at getting better recording equipment, but that's kind of the least of my priorities right now because I'm kind of busy in life at the moment, working on graduating high school and moving and going to uni and, shit like that. But, it's something I've been thinking about. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my little yap.